In this video, I'm going to break down and tell you everything that I did to finally start gaining weight and building muscle as a skinny guy. So by the end of this video, you'll know exactly the steps that I took so you can go and do this yourself. And in case you don't know me, my name is Kieran, and this is me when I first started working out. I weighed 54 kilos. I was known as a hard gainer. I had a fast metabolism. I'd eat everything in sight, still not gain any weight. I was always full. I'd always force feed myself. And no matter what I did, I just couldn't gain the weight. Now, fast forward 6 years, I now weigh 81 kilos, and bulking is so much easier for me. Gaining weight is so much easier for me. You know, I've been through multiple bulks at this point, and I can just do it naturally at this point. So the first thing that I did was I went all in. I actually took this shit seriously. I stopped treating it like a side gig and, you know, I'm kind of bulking, kind of not bulking. No, I went all in. Because, like, you need to understand, how can you expect to see 100% results when you're putting in 10% effort? The reason why the vast majority of people do not look good is because this shit is hard. It's hard to gain weight. It's hard to build muscle. You know, it's not fun to progressively overload and get stronger on your lifts. And that's an exact reflection on why the vast majority of the world is not in shape, because this shit is hard. So you need to understand that. Another thing, you need to change your identity. You need to stop viewing yourself as the type of person that can't gain weight and, you know, you make excuses. No, you need to take some responsibility and become the type of person that can gain weight, build muscle, and get stronger with ease. And your lifestyle needs to revolve around this goal. Like, you need to be more mindful of the type of people you're hanging around with, like what's in your house, as in like food, etc. And you need to just become more prepared in a sense of how you're going to get there, okay? You need to optimize everything for this goal. So I'm talking about the food that you eat, the type of people you talk with, you know, like the other activities you do outside of the gym. For me, for example, I cut everything off. I stopped playing sport and I went all in on the gym, partly because I'd done ligaments in my ankle, which made me not play soccer anymore. The next thing I did, I figured out my numbers. So you need to understand the reason why you're at your current weight is because you're roughly eating a very similar amount of calories each and every single day. And if you want to gain weight, you need to be eating more calories. And that's exactly how you do it, okay? So this is also known as your maintenance calories. So you're maintaining your weight. So in order to start gaining more weight, like I said, you need to be eating more food. So you need to go and find out your maintenance calories. There's a bunch of different websites online that you can use this for, like a TDEE calculator, where you fill in your information and it gives you a rough estimate of how many calories you need to be eating in order to maintain your weight. So for example, mine is around 2,900. When you've got more muscle on yourself, you have a higher maintenance calories. So if I wanted to start gaining weight right now, I would add 200 to 300 on top of that number. So that would be 3,100, 3,200. Now I will start gaining weight because I'm eating more food than what my body requires to maintain my weight. So you need to go figure this out. The next thing is I started tracking my numbers, and I've hundreds of conversations a week in the DMs. And this is the biggest reason why, you know, guys are struggling to gain weight and pack on size. They're not tracking their numbers. A lot of guys say it's not necessary, it's hard, it's confusing. And this is exactly why they are stuck. The reason why you're stuck is because you're doing certain inputs which isn't serving you, that isn't getting you towards your goal. So in order to get to your goal, you need to change the inputs that you are doing. And a super big input that you need to be prioritizing is tracking your numbers. Like, if you don't track your numbers, you don't know what needs to change. The reason, I believe, a big reason why guys say they feel so full all the time and they're eating so much food is because they don't know how much they're eating. So their brain automatically assumes, oh, well, I'm doing this thing and I'm not seeing the result. That means it's hard. That means, oh, there must be something wrong with my genetics or my metabolism. It couldn't be me. It couldn't be the fact, like, there's no responsibility being taken here. And you need to put your ego aside and take responsibility. Look at everyone that has gone through the transformation that you want to go to, and you think that you are so special that you, out of millions, hundreds of thousands of people, it's your genetics. It's bullshit. It's cap. Like, for me, I thought I was eating 4,000 calories when I first started. And then I tracked and I realized I was eating 2,500. No wonder I couldn't gain weight. I was eating my maintenance, like at the time, I was eating my maintenance calories. And I was wondering why I couldn't gain weight. Then when I actually started eating, 2,800, 3,000 calories, I started fucking gaining weight. Who would have guessed it? So you need to be tracking your calories. Another metric you need to be tracking is your body weight. If you're just tracking your calories but not tracking your body weight, you don't know if you're actually gaining weight, which is obviously the primary objective and the reason why you've clicked on this video. So you need to be tracking your weight. Eventually your weight will stop going up because your body just adapts to the amount of calories which you are eating. That is when you increase your calories. I hope this is making sense. The next thing I did, this is the daily work. This is exactly what I was doing each and every single day. You need to understand that this system compounds over time. You need to be consistent with this every day to see the results. You can't just hit your calories one day and then the next day not hit it. No, you need to be consistently doing this, because if you don't, it's not going to work. Okay, so focus on tracking your calories and weighing yourself specifically in the morning so that you can see whether or not you are gaining weight. And ensure you're hitting your requirements so you know what needs to be adjusted. So you need to be hitting your calories. If you're not being consistent, you're not going to know if you need to, up your calories. You don't know if you're actually gaining weight because you're being so inconsistent. So just be consistent with this. It takes like 5 minutes a day to track your calories. It takes 30 seconds in the morning to weigh yourself and put it into a notes app to get the weekly average. It's not that hard. The next thing I did, this is when it comes to making adjustments. If you're not, like I said, if you're not consistent, this will not work. I really want to emphasize that. So like I mentioned before, eventually you will hit a plateau in your weight. So when you do hit a plateau, this is when you're going to increase your calories by 1 to 200 and then track to see what happens. So, like I mentioned before, let's just say for me, I'm eating 3,100, 3,200 calories a day. I've been doing that for 4 to 6 weeks, and then eventually I stop gaining weight. From there, I'll add 1 to 200, so I'm eating at 3,500 calories now. When I start doing that, I'll track my body weight to see if I am starting to gain weight again. And if I'm not, then I might need to add a little bit more. If I am slowly gaining, like I've written here, around 250 grams to a kilo per week, then I'm on the right track. Now, these are pretty big extremes, 250 to a kilo. A kilo is relatively high, but it is normal when you're in like your first couple of weeks because your body is adjusting because you're actually eating enough food now. You're no longer guessing how many calories you're eating. You know how many calories you're eating, and it's probably a lot more food than what you initially thought. So this is why it's a kilo. But a good rule of thumb is like, 250 to 500 grams, depending on how new you are to your lifting. Like there's so much shit that goes into it. But another thing you need to understand is that your weight fluctuates. So it's important to get your weekly average. So for me and for my clients as well, that I help with gaining weight and building muscle specifically, is they'll be able to track their weekly average. So they can see, okay, week 4 I was this weight, week 7 I was this weight. So they can see their progression week to week. The reason why you don't want to do it day to day is because your weight fluctuates. It's always going up and down. It's not going to be a linear path where you're like 64.4 kilos, 64.6 kilos, so on and so forth. No, you might be like 64.1, then you drop down to like, 63.8, and then you're back up to 64.4. Like it just fluctuates like this. So this is why it's important to see the bigger picture over like a week so that you can see how it's progressing on a macro level. The next thing, now this is going to be really helpful for you if you are someone that's actually struggling to get in food. So like, let's say, you're tracking your calories, you're doing this, but you're really struggling with getting in the amount of calories that you need to be eating. Let's say you need to be eating 3,500 calories and you're really struggling to hit 3,500 because you're really full, because chances are you are a hard gainer, like similar to myself. So this will help with hitting your calories for those with a fast metabolism, which I assume a lot of you guys will be. So 80% of the time, you want to focus on eating clean, whole foods. So the reason why you want to be doing this 80% of the time is because it's going to fuel your gym performance, because you want to be progressively overloading each and every single week. That part is key. A strong muscle is a big muscle. The next thing, It's just cognitive ability. I remember when I would dirty bulk and I'd be in school because I was like 17, 18 at the time, and I was like retarded because I had so much bullshit in my body that I couldn't actually cognitively think. And that thing is huge for me at the moment, especially when it comes to making content and making videos like this. If I'm just going all the time, it's not going to be very good and it's going to be a hard watch. So, examples of clean foods. You know, it's easy. It's just like one ingredient food: steak, chicken, rice, oats, potato, tuna, fish, like all just like the healthy foods you think of. And then 20% of the time, have fun foods to help you get in your calories easier. So let's say like 3,000 calories, 2,500 of those calories are clean. 20%, you need to get in another 500 calories before you go to bed. This is when you can have in the peanut butter, the chocolate, the lollies, just whatever you're doing to make getting in your calories easier. Granted, it is 80-20, because as soon as you start doing 50-50 or 60-40 negatively, then this is when you're going to run into poor gym performance. You're going to feel like shit. You're going to have bad body composition. You're probably going to go over your calories and gain a lot of fat. So, like I said, peanut butter, olive oil sauce, chocolate, etc. And that is it. So I really hope this video was valuable for you. Hope you took something away from it. If you're really struggling with this and you want to find out the exact system that I used to go from 54 kilos to 85 kilos in my 6 years of lifting, go ahead and watch the video in the description below. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye.